Hello, 1694 subscribers. There are a lot of videos on YouTube about voice AI agents, everything from what are the best platforms to tutorials and guides on how do you actually build them. Most of these videos and creators do not mention how do you make money from it, how do you sell and offer it to the business owners. So this is what this video will be all about. I want to share my knowledge and experience on selling these solutions, tell you how do you actually craft your offer, how much do you charge, and what businesses can expect when ordering these solutions from you. When it comes to the platforms, you have, three main choices: vapi, Synthflow, and Blend. Obviously, there are much more, but for us, 70% of the agents we build on vapi, I would say 20-25% on Synthflow, and 5% either on Blend, or we're testing, different smaller platforms which do have lower latency, but they are not as stable. So you should do your own research. We have two main categories: inbound assistance and outbound assistance. We'll go through each one of them and then discuss the offer that you can use. So for the inbound, you kind of have the customer support, appointment bookings, order tracking, product information, account management, billing, claims, support. Usually these, categories are related. So if you are building a customer support assistant for a local business, and again, if it's a B2B or B2C, if they will usually have a separate billing department, which again, from my experience, just receive the calls and provide, a balance update or invoice update, or the customer didn't receive something and they need, someone to get back to them through the email. So these are very repetitive calls, but they do require you or the department to have direct access to the, billing system like a QuickBooks. So if you are building, a very simple customer support, you should expect not only build, Q&A assistant, like what services do you use, or can you do X? You should also be able to connect to a third-party tools. That's why I'm saying that, something like vapi is much more stable when it comes to webhook calling and connecting it to Make or Airtable or VoiceFlow for more complex queries. So for the inbound, I do think that it's harder to sell these solutions than something like a database reactivation in the outbound AI agent category. And we'll talk about it later on, but right now, you should keep in mind that when we are talking, and if you are planning to sell these solutions, you need to be ready to be able to connect to third-party tools. For example, same thing happening with the account management. So if a person wants to check what were my previous orders or what is the status of my order, and it's not only related to e-commerce. Again, if you're working with a wholesaler and manufacturer, or maybe people want to check the current price, if they have, thousands and thousands of SKUs, this is, what you need to be able to do. When it comes to the outbound agents, you can do, follow-ups, nurturing, reminders, renewals, promotions, discounts, and data reactivation. Follow-ups is very simple. It's more related to, local businesses like clinics or something that you need to schedule an appointment before. So either a client schedule an appointment through the website, through the chatbot, through the SMS, or through the email. And then you can follow up with them to increase, the show up rate if a person needs to show up like to a clinic, or to make sure that they are ready for you to come if it's an HVAC service. For the lead nurturing, this is a very common example and use case. If a business runs paid ads, for example, if there's a Facebook ad with a form and they fill out the form, but obviously we would need more information to qualify the prospect. The same thing happens if the business have a form on the website with, usually the name, the email, and the, description. They will ask a few questions. And if the user will just provide, hey, I need help, so something like that, people from the company would need to call this prospect and say, hey, John, can you clarify what you're looking for me to, guide you through? So this can be done with voice AI that calls the prospect and say, hey, let me know, I saw that you, booked the the thing on our website. I saw that you filled out the form, but we still need to have more information. Same thing with the reminders. Reminders are kind of like follow-ups, renewals, promotions, and the database reactivation, which we will talk later on. This is the video that I recently recorded on the on this specific service, and I do think that this is kind of your best bet when it comes to voice AI implementation. So here's a quick theory. I think that there is, to sell inbound voice AI agents is not impossible. Obviously, we still do it from time to time, but it is harder to do that than the outbound AI callers. So let's say you have a business and you have people working in the business. Usually these tasks are managed by either a receptionist or a customer success managers or a sales team, depending on the business. So if you come to the business and say, hey, Mark, we are an AI agency and we can replace your people and integrate AI into the business to streamline the process and save you money so that you don't need to actually pay your employees. This sounds really good in theory. The problem is that Mark will not usually fire his employees and replace it with voice AI right away, even if you show Mark the actual, agent. First, it's not good enough to be like a human. Again, depending on the task, it's really good in terms of the intent recognition, but the problem is with latency. So obviously the humans will be better. Again, depends on the volume of requests they receive. But for Mark, he needs to first pay you, spend time, integrate this thing, and then think what to do with, Stacy, Caroline, whatever, like the receptionist that are currently working, that they currently paying money for. And do they need to fire them? Do they need to, give them additional tasks? And this is an additional headache for the business. Again, eventually they will all be replaced with AI. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I am giving you a perception of this specific offer right now in 2024 after talking with hundreds and hundreds of businesses that are not looking for this solution, because I usually run cold emails and I have hundreds of sales calls trying to convince people that they need it. Obviously, if it's an incoming lead, it's much easier, but most of us do not have, a lot of incoming leads that we can work with. That's why when we are offering this service as a, using the cold outreach, it's hard to convince business owners, especially if it's a local small firm, maybe a family office. They are all friends. And imagine Mark saying, hey, Stacy, you know what? You're fired because we now have voice AI. Again, business is business, so there are no emotions. But you need to sell it to them. You need to sell this thing to Mark. And it's going to be on the harder side to do something like that compared to, when you come to Mark and say, hey, Mark, this is what you do not do, and this is what we can help you with. Okay, I think you got the idea. So when you are offering an inbound voice AI assistant, they already have something or someone in place to manage it, right? And it's harder to replace, like the same thing with, whatever in life, right? With habits. So if you have a bad habit, it's much harder to replace it with a good habit compared to, crafting a new one, right? So it's the same thing. Again, eventually they will all be replaced. Not all, again, depending on the task, but most of these specific solutions will be done and task will be done using the voice AI agents. But when you come to Mark and say, hey, Mark, we can increase your show up rate with a reminders and follow-up system by 20%. I was recently talking with a dental clinic. It was actually a dental consultant that worked with dental clinics, and we are, planning to partner up with him since he has a lot of clients that he can bring to my agency and do a rev share. Anyways, that's a separate story. The idea is that he shared a lot of like great insights on how for example, the dental clinic space works and how much money they lose because of no show-ups. So let's say a person booking an appointment and doesn't show up. Obviously, the business owners still pay for the employees. They pay the bills for the gas, the lights, and they lose money on it. So, and each appointment might cost like $200 or $100 or $300. So if you increase the show up rate by 20%, these are very tangible results. And usually they do not have it in place. Maybe they have someone from this team doing the follow-up sometimes, and they don't have the time for it and they are not doing it properly. So same thing with nurturing. Again, with nurturing, it really depends on the volume of incoming leads they have, on how much money they spend on the ads and how much traffic they get on the website. But if we are talking about follow-ups, renewals, same thing. For the renewals, when something is come up, people like the businesses will not renew their subscription or the commitment to continue to work with the company. Let's say we've been working with a ingredient supplier and they have the contracts, yearly contracts with their with the manufacturers to supply the organic ingredients to them. So we integrated the system that calls and follow up. Again, it follow-ups with the SMS, with the email, as well as the phone calls with a prospect to getting an understanding, are they going to renew the contract? And if not, to A, offer something, or B, to craft an offer, but then transfer this this prospect and this client to the actual sales department so that they can reclose them again. There are a lot of scenarios that you can build for the outbound. Again, you can tell me that for the outbound, it's harder in terms of the latency. So when people call the business, this is their intent. And if there is a voice AI, which is a bit on the slower side, they can potentially be fine with it since they need to get the information. But when AI calls the prospect and having a delay, they might be how to say it, like they might not like it as much, and they're more likely to to end the conversation since they understand that it's AI and maybe it's not as accurate as they would expect from a human. But again, we're not trying to engage with prospects. We're just offering one thing. For the follow-ups, hey John, just a reminder, you have an appointment tomorrow. Are you going to show up? Yes, no, and then, okay, it's done. Same thing happens with a database reactivation, which is the best service I think that you can currently offer when it comes to the voice AI agents. Again, you can go watch my previous video. I show in-depth details on the backend, how do you actually make it work. So for right now, we can talk about the financial side and the offer side. So same thing, say, hey John, you used to work with us, you bought whatever, like the AC from us like 4 years ago. Are you need an upgrade? Are you looking for something? We have a discount going on, so are you interested or not? And if yes, maybe capture the details. So AI doesn't need to talk to John for a few minutes and make him angry because it's not as sharp as the human would. That's why I think it's a really, really good use case. So when it comes to the database reactivation, I think you just need vapi, make an Airtable to make it work. Airtable for storing all of the leads. Obviously, the leads will be probably in the CRM, so you export them and import in the Airtable, and then you make a scenario inside Make that will get the information from Airtable and call the prospect using vapi and then update Airtable. Again, go watch this video where I shared on how to actually make it work. So when you offer this solution, you kind of have one option, I think, is to charge one-time payment for the setup and then work on the performance basis. And I know what you're thinking, you probably hate the performance basis work, and I do. We usually don't do that, but I have right now a leverage. So I have the case studies and I have, the referrals, I have kind of the YouTube, and I can say, hey guys, you will pay us $3,000 a month and we'll deliver that. But when you are, but it's still like, even with all the materials and the backend that I have, it's almost impossible to sell something like that using the cold outreach. So that's why there is a performance-based offer. So let's say for the one-time payment, you say, hey guys, obviously we will work on the performance basis, but we need to set up the AI, we need to set up the automation, the database, we need to export it, spend some time. So please, pay us, $500 to $1,000, depending on the business, so that, we can make it work. Obviously, this money primarily do not go to us. It goes to the platform, the cost, the, token usage and all the things. It's just on your side to figure out how to actually, sell it and present it to the business so that they don't think that you take the money and just run away. And then on the performance side, so you can do either, pay per reactivation, pay per call, or monthly retainers, as I said. So pay per reactivation, you would need to negotiate with the business. Let's say if it's a business that have, that has like thousands of dead leads, you might say, hey, let's say you will pay us, whatever, like $50 or $100 for a lead which is, interested. Again, so this is kind of like a lead generation service. You're probably aware of, lead generation agencies that, do the cold emails or run the ads or run the, SEO, Google ads. Same thing, they either work on the monthly retainer guaranteeing the results, or they charge you per lead. So this is kind of the same thing, but I call it pay per reactivation, since this is kind of the lead. It's not a lead, it's their customer, right? It's not a new person. And imagine, if they have like thousands of customers, and if they can pay like $100 per reactivation, you can easily reactivate 10, 20, 30 leads, offering them even, since you do not need to make sure, sell them the service, since they are aware of the company, they already worked with you, they already paid money to you. And if we are reactivating the database, especially, with something like an HVAC, they would probably need a maintenance. They would probably, think to replace it at some point of time. And if you run, really good offers, you can make a lot of money with it. And it's pretty good, business model, to be honest. When you do present it to the business, again, depending on what strategy you're going to use to reach out to the prospects. So you can, this is kind of a very simple overview on, how do you actually present this offer. You can say, hey, John, I know you have thousands of leads, so this is kind of a problem recognition statement. And then what you do, we can reactivate this and bring more like additional revenue to the business by using AI automations, no upfront cost, pay per result. So this is kind of the best outreach method. Again, for my agency, I'll be honest, like I'm not currently interested in this specific service, since honestly, like I just don't like work on the performance basis. Plus we have, some clients, and we usually, focus right now on the internal tax-based assistance. This is kind of our bread and butter right now. So if there's a referral that want, us to make a voice AI agents, obviously we still do it, but I do not run cold emails campaigns to offer something like that to the clients. So, okay, so you do not need to compete with me, at least, and you can try it yourself. And it's very simple, it's very straightforward. You can even, you can skip this part, I think. You can say, hey, we can reactivate your database of leads and bring additional revenue to the business. No upfront cost, pay per result. Are you interested? So you might, I think it's better, right? So I think, you should not even mention the AI, since it might trigger them and say, hey, no, there's no way, you can do it with AI, since they're not aware of this technology. So if you just say something like that, they say, oh, okay, give me more info. And then you let's say book a sales call. And my suggestion would be to build them a demo. And this is where I think, something like InstantFlow will be, better, because obviously vapi is very simple, but I think out of the box, SynFlow is better. So if you do something like, hey, let's hop on the sales call, and on the sales call, I will present you a demo. Or even if you don't mention the demo, but on the sales call, say, hey, John, by the way, I will actually, we already like spent some time making you a quick demo. You don't need to pay for it, just to show, some value to John, so that he said, oh, okay. Because when you say, yeah, we will reactivate your database using the voice AI, they'll say, and John will say something like, okay, interesting, but I don't know, I'm not sure how, accurate it would be. And then you say, yeah, sure, we can build you, a demo on the next call, or you can pay us like $100. And then he'll like just simply ignore it. If you watched any of my previous videos, you see how many leads I have, waiting after the initial sales call that do not reply to my messages and phone calls and SMSs. So if you do, a demo right away, you can see, you can show that you are valid, you know what you're talking about, you are serious, as well as to show John that AI right now is able to handle this task. And then the sales call, maybe charge one-time payment, as I mentioned, create a proposal, charge one-time payment, build this thing for, in 1 or 2 weeks, and then, discuss the, pay-per reactivation or the call, terms, and then try to reactivate it, and then work on a monthly basis if it's needed. Again, depending on the use case, maybe it's a one-time thing when they have like a few thousand leads, then you try to reactivate them, and you would need to do it again like in a few months. So it really depends on the type of the business that you're gonna work with. When it comes to, just the inbound leads, obviously you can either just do vapi, or just do the SynFlow, or like vapi with make. So if you do need to again, connect to third-party databases, usually party apps, usually they will not, have the integration in Make, since most of them use like very old school softwares, not like a HubSpot. So, and in Make, obviously you will trigger the webhook, and in Make you'll have a module HTTP that will, make an API call to their software, return the information back about the customer, and then return it back to vapi, something like that. Or if you need a very complex, assistant with, let's say, all of these things, right? So you're building the agent for, a bigger company that have a lot of departments, and for each department you need to have a separate integrations. Technically, you can use, vapi with make as well as the voice flow, because let's say in vapi, you just have the prompt, right? So you have the prompt, and you are kind of saying, hey, your role is this. If the clients does X, do X, call this tool or function, whatever. But obviously, when it comes to the voice flow, you have much more granular control on the flow, and it's much more, visual representation of the journey of the client. So right now, you can connect voice flow with vapi, so they can interact with your voice flow agent through vapi, voice AI protocol. And I have a video on my channel on how to do that, and I'm planning to record one more. By the way, I forgot to mention, all of the scripts, as well as the prompts, the scenarios for the voice flow, for the vapi, the prompts, the make blueprints are available for free in my resource hub. First link in the description. You go there and you subscribe and get the link to my resource hub. It's here, it's free. And you can just copy all of these things, everything from my videos that I show, and use it in your project. Okay, so these are kind of the softwares that you should use when it comes to the inbound voice AI agents. For the offer, again, it really depends on the business that you work with. Usually it's just a one-time payment plus a small monthly retainer for the pay-per usage, because you are hosting usually it yourself. You are paying for the tokens. So I have a video on my channel where I go over, pricing for different AI automation services. You can go and watch it. But to give you an idea, for the complex thing, for the complex voice AI agent with multiple integrations to third-party softwares, you can expect something between $5,000 to $8,000. Obviously, you can charge more or you can charge less, but this is kind of the range, at least that we charge our clients. I know that there are gurus claiming that they sell same voice AI agents for $20,000-$30,000 maybe, but I did not have experience of charging that much our clients. And then there's a monthly retainer, again depending on the usage. So one thing if they receive like 5 calls a day, and another thing if they have like 100 and 150 calls a day. Again, it will be, and depending on the phone call, so longer the call, so more you'll pay per minute. So you need to calculate all this cost. So usually it's somewhere between $300 to $2,000 per month. Okay guys, I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. Peace.